I have some good data, Leslie. The data is what it's all about. Data, however you want to say it. But someone used streaming data to calculate the most paused movie scenes in the history of Hollywood. And I have that data. Thought it'd be fun to...
This is pretty incredible. You tell me about this, and I'm like... Because there are sort of, pivotal scenes in some movies.
And I guessed a few of them, and I got a couple of them right. I thought it'd be fun to play along, just, you in the car or you wherever you are listening. I'll give you an audio clue, and then you see if you can pick it up. And I'm obviously going to tell you this is not like a contest. I just thought it'd be fun to play in your mind.
Sure.
If you can pick these scenes up. So these are the scenes, starting with number 6. I have the top 6 most paused in the history of Hollywood since they've been able to get that data, which probably goes back to like TiVo in the 90s.
Ooh, the old TiVo, yeah.
So here's a clip of number 6. See if it gives it away. What's number 6? You know it?
Oh, I recognize the voice.
That's Dirk standing in front of a mirror, reaches into his pants and pulls out his most valuable asset. That's Mark Wahlberg.
Uh-huh.
Remember he wore that prosthetic?
Yes.
And that didn't stop people from pausing. So number 6 was Boogie Nights.
And he's just, that's a pauser.
Remember standing in the mirror? I mean, that was a classic scene. I don't know that I needed to pause that one, but Queen probably did. Number 5, dead giveaway with the music, but do you know the urban legend? This is kind of a creepy one, obviously Wizard of Oz. But as Dorothy and her friends walk down the yellow brick road, you can see a figure in the background. And the official story describes the figure as a bird. But viewers have a theory that it's a munchkin that hung himself. And people have been pausing this movie for years trying to figure it out.
I never heard that story.
I heard that urban legend. I don't remember it.
Wow.
That's number 5.
Okay.
Number 4, guilty on this one. This was late 80s. When this scene unfolded, there was more unfolding than just the scene. I'm surprised that's not at the top of the list. You know what it is?
Me too, because, that sort of just marked her entire career, Sharon Stone.
Yep, it marked her career, and it overshadowed the movie completely. That's the interrogation scene in Basic Instinct. She was spectacular in that movie. And like you said, really made her career and took all the attention in this movie as we all thought she was fully dressed. And then the leg crossover gave viewers a lot more than expected. That comes in at number 4 in the most paused movies of all time.
I would have thought that would be number 1, but yeah.
Number 3, I thought easily number 1. But when you hear number 1, it's going to make sense.
Okay.
Number 3 was actually a guest on our show years ago, and the subject of it. And we also we replayed it, I think, just a couple of weeks ago. I was kind of surprised to see this. It is, but it isn't in my mind. Check out the scene. See if you can. You'll know pretty quickly what it is. Right there, a woman is getting ripped to shreds.
Yes.
Her name is Susan Backlini.
She was on our show.
She was recently. She was in Spielberg's classic Jaws, the original, in the opening scene, skinny dipping. And you know what happens next. But
yes, of course.
It was interesting to hear how they put that scene together. Here's just a little 1-minute excerpt from when she was just on our show. Let's go back.
That was the opening scene.
The very first scene. You're on the beach with a guy, and then you run down to the beach to go swimming. A little skinny dipping, if I recall.
Ooh, that's right.
Now, something I didn't know, the scene where they actually find your arm on the beach, that was a real arm?
I hate to disagree with them, but I don't think it was.
Because it says it was someone's real arm, that they held it in ice all day to make it look.
Well, it might have been. I know they were going to make a cast of my body, and I just said, well, I don't think we need to go to a full body cast, honest. Especially if just an arm and a head are showing.
Right.
When you first saw that scene, when you first saw the movie, what did you think?
Well, I was real impressed with how it came out.
Because when you're filming it, it doesn't look anything like that, or none of the music is there.
The music made a lot of it.
Oh, yeah, man,
definitely.
I know I've seen those behind the scenes shows on how they filmed that. Explain though how they got you to thrash around and how they hooked you up and all that.
Okay, what they did was there were some pilings about 50 yards out on the beach, and they ran cables all the way from the beach out to the pilings and through shivs. And then they put me in between the 2 pilings, and they had guys on the beach, about 5 or 6 on each cable. And we marked lines on the beach, and they would pull me right to the edge of the frame on either side, and then the guys just ran back and forth from mark to mark.
All right, we're back live. Can you imagine that? They just have big ropes, and they have them tied to this lady, and they're pulling her back and forth.
And how does that change her entire life? Like, she can talk about that forever.
Yeah, that one moment. All right, these are the most paused movies in the history of Hollywood. Number 2, you'll know by the music, I'm pretty sure. So number 2, Back to the Future. You remember in the beginning, Marty McFly and Doc Brown have to travel back to 1955. So they meet up where? At Twin Pines Mall. Later on in the movie, McFly accidentally runs over one of the 2 pines when he's being chased, and his action changed the future, and he returns at the end of the movie to find that the mall's name has been changed to Lone Pine Mall. I mean, jokes like that are the reason the pause button was invented. So that's number 2. Everyone pausing to kind of check that out. Now you're thinking, what could be number 1? Leslie, do you even want to give it a shot of trying to guess? What could be the number 1 most paused of all time? And I am so guilty. I probably paused this thing a lot as a young teen, Barnes.
Well, I'm thinking about 80s movies, but I can't think of anything. I mean, you named a lot of the classics. American Pie, I don't know what.
The music is, and I know I hear Steve play this song sometimes, and this is so iconic that when I hear this song, I immediately picture what is happening. Yeah, you guessed it. B.B. Cates coming out of that swimming pool in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. What dude?
Wow. Number 1, though, I'm a little surprised, but yes.
Why would you be surprised? There is not a guy listening right now that probably did not pause that movie.
Well, because, Basic Instinct, but I get it.
Oh, true. And those are both guy-driven pauses. Yeah, I would have put Instinct up toward an arguable possible number 1. But yeah, Fast Times at Ridgemont High, which, by the way, if you haven't gone back and watched that and all the Jeff Spicoli-ness, I love when I hear Steve playing those clips on his show. But that is such a this is some good inspiration to go back and rewatch some of these movies, because they were...
I was getting ready to say, go back and watch all of them.
Serious classics.
Yes. Thank you, Barnes.
The Morning X with Barnes and Leslie.
99X.